This video is a work of fiction. The narration, statements, ideas, names, characters, entities, and incidents portrayed or referenced in this production are fictitious or used in a fictitious manner. In no way does this video attempt to portray real-life events or factual information of any kind. It is intended solely for entertainment purposes, and no action should be taken in reliance on the information contained in this video. This video is not educational and does not attempt to convey any factual information whatsoever. You should not act or refrain from acting on the basis of any content included in this video. This video does not constitute legal, medical, or any other type of advice, nor is it an attempt to provide any factual information in relation thereto. It is not intended for children. It is intended for mature audiences only. This video is a work of fiction.
From the capital city of the United States of America, Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Hey guys, today's intellectual grudge match is between the reality of submarines versus the alleged reality of the International Space Station. So let's introduce the contestants and see how they match up.
4,500 pounds per square inch high pressure air everywhere you can reach. We've got 450 volt AC power, 250 volt DC power. We have fans and pumps. We propel it with a nuclear reactor, and then we take it out and intentionally sink it in salt water. That's not inherently safe.
Have a birthday party in space, and by mistake one balloon goes and could ruin the whole party.
Yeah. Airlock.
Say in space, in the vacuum, and yeah, that thing would go quickly.
Okay, let's see.
Submarines operate in harsh environments with corrosive seawater and at depths where they are subjected to extremely high pressures. A submarine is a complicated ship with thousands of pumps, motors, generators, turbines, and valves that have to be kept in proper working order. When they're not on deployment, about once a quarter, submarines enter an upkeep or refit maintenance period, which lasts about 4 weeks, during which the submarine is repaired to full capacity. After the maintenance period, submarines go to sea for sea trials where they test out the repaired systems, which normally includes a controlled dive down to test depth. In order to do all of this and operate a submarine, it has an average crew of about 150. Next we have the ISS.
Here's one from Peter Manley. Would a balloon pop in space?
So this is interesting.
Well, a
if
balloon,
you have, a
will
balloon will
pop
pop if you blow it
inside a
up.
station, because I've done that, because I brought some balloons for my kid's birthday celebration. And
I didn't know that.
I accidentally popped one, and they go bang.
Did you get in trouble for it? Did your kids complain about that?
No,
Did they know about it?
They didn't know about it. Anyway,
here's
so
Dad doing his best.
So look at these major elements assembled. We have the FGB Zarya Unity, 3 pressurized mating adapters, service module, the trusses, laboratories, airlocks, trusses, more trusses, and we're supposed to believe they were all assembled by these guys in their dockers and socks and you know, their fancy rings and watches. I mean, do these guys look like they're constructing any kind of space station or even snapping it together? I mean, look at all this wiring, and you know, who's welding and riveting, and I mean, if it was real, it would be workers like these guys, real construction workers, real Navy workers, real people who build real things, not these phony baloney people with space hair and wearing their, like I said, fancy jewelry and watches in space when they should look like construction workers if they're up there fixing all these adapters and valves and pipes and maintaining the space station. But anyways, so what kind of crew does it take to actually construct and then maintain and operate this gigantic space station in the most extreme environment known to mankind? The answer is about 5 men or women, depending on the rating. So, next round.
Tend to come left, course 180 to open range these contacts. Carry on. Pilot all 2/3.
All at 2/3, pilot aye.
Junior Stick FW, coming course 180.
Set continuous.
FTW, Junior Stick A.
All stack during answers, all at 2/3.
Arrow pilot. Pilot left 20 degrees rudder, steady course 180.
Left 20 degrees rudder, steady course 180, pilot aye.
And what I find super cool about being a flight controller is really the ability to sit on console and command a few things. And the entire International Space Station, which is, say, the size of a football field, can rotate 180 degrees. And that's something that I can do as a flight controller. So since I can't be an astronaut, I think it's the next best cool thing to do.
Y'all ready for this?
A submarine is incredibly complex with a lot of equipment and something always breaks. Each division sets aside time for corrective maintenance. Submarines have a lot of redundancy and can function with broken equipment while it's being repaired. Navy ships have a maintenance philosophy called preventive maintenance, where equipment is maintained according to a set schedule, just like getting an oil change every 3,000 miles. Submarines operate on a 6-hour watch cycle. The crew is divided into 3 watch sections, and each section stands watch for 6 hours, then gets 12 hours off. During those 12 hours off, a crew member eats, sleeps, trains, and conducts maintenance. As a result, the crew operates on an 18-hour work day. Then there's the engine room, which houses the main engines, electrical turbine generators, electrical motor generators, distillers, and oxygen generators. Now, submarines normally have 2 of everything, and this is because a lot of stuff breaks and you just can't run down to the hardware store when you're underwater or if you're up in space. So they have 2 main engines, 2 electrical turbine generators, 2 motor generators for charging to and fro the battery, and sometimes 4 of them depending on the submarine's class. Also 4 main feed pumps, 4 condensate pumps, etc. And the 2 biggest threats to a submarine are flooding and fire. Unlike surface ships with lots of compartments, if a single compartment gets flooded on a submarine, besides the reactor, the submarine is going to the bottom. The compartments are simply too large, and even with an emergency blow, there isn't enough reserve buoyancy. So stopping any flooding quickly is crucial. Now, fire is the next most dangerous hazard on a submarine. Now, it's a closed environment, and the compartments fill up quickly with toxic gases and thick black smoke. Fires can spread rapidly, destroying any vital equipment. Unlike the ISS, where they don't care if water goes spraying on all their computers. So the crew of a submarine trains constantly, both ashore and at sea, perfecting their skills against these two deadly contingencies. Submarine crews conduct engineering drills, ship drills, fire control drills, drill after drill, with the crew fighting a never-ending affliction of things that could possibly go wrong. And ship-wide, the crew runs flooding and fire drills, attempting to anticipate every type of malfunction that could occur. They're deadly serious on the submarine, unlike someone we know. And last but not least, we have the batteries on a submarine. Nuclear submarine batteries, they're small compared to the batteries of diesel submarines, and they'll provide power only for a few hours before becoming drained. So before that happens, the submarine either has to be at periscope depth, which with its emergency diesel generator supporting electrical loads, or have identified and repaired the fault in the reactor. The submarine's battery isn't one battery, but typically 126 or so battery cells connected together. And each cell is quite large, maybe 1 by 1 by 5 foot tall. And as the battery is drained, it's monitored to ensure that none of the cells begin reversing polarity, which means they've become drained and they begin charging themselves at the expense of the remaining battery cells. And at that point, you're in big trouble. So, yeah, and it's very strange that they only get a few hours of battery power on a sub as their backup when that's all the ISS operates on. So, that's very interesting. And to summarize the workload of the ISS astronauts, we have Chris Hadfield, who will open up a freeze-dried emergency kit, just like the freeze-dried ice cream in space, and show us what to do in the case of a deadly emergency, such as a fire or a micrometeorite that blasts through the station and causes all of the air to just explode outward, because remember, you have the vacuum of space, the gigantic universe that is a vacuum that is ultra powerful, that would just explode the air right out of the station. So let's hear what he has to say.
You, of course, want to protect your eyes. So you put on goggles, and you want to protect your mucous membranes and your lungs. So we put on a mask, try not to break it. Okay, so now I have my mask and my goggles on, and then we want to protect our hands. We have special gloves that protect us against chemicals. They're called silver shield gloves. So I put on my silver shield glove, and now I am ready with various types of absorbing things. And in fact, we have some great big ones, special silica mitts that we could put on top of a nasty spill, and then at the end of it, if you have the right type of combination, you could hold it in your hand and carefully pull off your glove. And now you've got a nasty thing on the space station, but we would wrap it inside 2 or 3 layers of containment, bags that close, zip up, until we're sure that it's not going to leak out. And then, finally, we're safe, and we can take off our gloves and our goggles and our mask and carry on with the business of being astronauts. Good question.